I mean, it happens. There has to be a world where he failed Goggin. There has to be.
That's right. This is other dimensions. McDucky Swag Sr. got killed. He got McDucky Swag Jr. sitting in a bar drinking himself to death. And then it's like, oh, aren't you McDucky Swag's son? Oh, I heard about McDucky Swag. I heard he wasn't all that it was quacked up to be. And then he shatters the glass and puts it up to his throat and says, don't talk about my father that way. And then his corporal shirts through the door and says, hey, McDucky Swag, you're needed.
So, Brian...
Welcome to episode 78 of the Endless Backlog Podcast. I am your host of the #1 amateur hour podcast, as told by me, Gagneep Singh. Hope all is well where you are. Joining me today is Christopher, straight out of Compton.
I love how you just turn it on like that. Like I'm still not awake, and you're just in host mode immediately.
I need to be. We've done this enough time that now I feel like there's like a just switch that goes off. You know,
it's beautiful.
Whereas, like, back in the old days, I remember us having to do 3 intros just because I'm like, all right, I didn't feel that one. Now, even if I flub it, I'm like, no, we're just going with it. We're just going with it.
I'm pretty sure the last one we flubbed the intro.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, it's awesome. And rounding us out today, we're a 3-man band today, is Adam Wozdovich.
What's up, guys?
WozdyCast 3?
3.5, 4. If we want to...
Well, the Game of the Year's ones don't count because this is a specialty, and they're not really WozdyCast, even though Wozdy games get discussed.
Yeah.
But we're close.
That's true.
Anyway, we're getting all the guest appearances really early in the new year, you know? Next week we might get Philip. Anyway, so, quick run. This would have easily been a Just and Me Chris show, because realistically, William's busy today. What happened was I had to work on Tuesday, so we had to move our regular podcast recording day to Thursday, and Ben outright admitted he didn't really play anything the last week, so he's basically unnecessary for this podcast right now, right? Whereas me and Chris actually played stuff.
Yeah.
And the reason I was fishing for other people, I was like, I really want this opening time to talk about the Super Bowl, and I know Chris is going to be an asshole the entire time.
I have to go.
Chris will be the asshole the entire time. But I behaved the entire regular season, the entire playoffs, and now my boy wins the Super Bowl. I'm not going to talk about it. Get the fuck out of here. Peyton Manning's going out with 2 rings.
I did watch.
Is he going out, though? That's the question.
Oh, he should. He does not look good in that game.
No.
It was probably one of the worst Super Bowls I've been happy about watching. Because it wasn't a good game. Like, it wasn't really entertaining in any capacity. Because it was very sloppy, right? But,
yeah.
Both teams really weren't playing all that great.
Yeah, like, the defense played well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, the Carolina defense was taking advantage of an old man. And Carolina was finding new and exciting ways to just make mistakes. That was just like it wasn't the same as I argue, even though the Seattle game was a blowout, Seattle looked impressive with what they were doing to Denver. They looked meaner, they looked faster, they looked more physical than Denver. It was like you were watching a different caliber team just beating up a child almost, right? And there's something impressive about that in a professional sport because you're like, they're all grown ass men, but one team is making the other team look like children, right? So, but. Happy, my boy gets his 2nd ring. That's how all legendary careers should end, but they don't always end that way, so that was dope.
Brett Favre is crying somewhere.
Yeah, but, Brett. I think Brett actually went out the most fitting way Brett would go out. And
that's true. Making it all about him.
No. I mean, Brett's whole thing was that he was there for every game, and I felt like the only way this career ends is if someone finally takes him out.
They did.
He finally needs to get to a point where he physically cannot show up next week, and that's what happened. Yeah, not to get morbid. It wasn't like that. He got like an injury, Chris. Relax. Chris is probably thinking, wow, did this guy die in football?
Oh, I saw him at they booed him.
No, that was Tom Brady. They booed.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the only time Favre got booed was when he wore a Vikings jersey and walked into Lambeau.
Yeah.
Then he got booed pretty hard.
Yeah, it was the rival team. Anyway, that does it for that. Otherwise, I have no opening rant for the week. Nothing really rant-worthy happened.
Game trailer's closed. Is that rant-worthy?
It's not rant-worthy, but we are going to talk about that. For the most part, I mean, I would argue that modern media is pious with the way they treated Cam Newton, but whatever. We're not a sports podcast, so you can reserve that for the TDH Sports Podcast. I do a droid. You can check us out at SoundCloud. Anyway, I'm shilling my own.
Full integrity. Full integrity right now.
Listen, Peyton Manning can shill a beer at the happiest moment of his career. I can shill my own podcast on one of my own podcasts. Anyway,
that was legendary by him. Anyway.
So we got a few things to talk about, and then we'll get into games. But the big story of today, not really a big story, but Quantum Break, Remedy's new game, will be day and date a PC release with its Xbox One counterpart, right? Which now joins a long list of Xbox One Microsoft first-party exclusives. Sea of Thieves by Rare, Recore, Fable Legends, and now Quantum Break, where those games are being developed both for the Xbox One and PC. This isn't necessarily a new thing, because Microsoft has done this in the past, where they've published and produced games that are Xbox console and PC exclusive, if you will, right? But
Microsoft exclusive, yeah, exclusive to their platforms.
They word it to like their platforms, and this. So, of course, the internet does the internet thing, and corporate fanboys get angry. And funny enough, on Twitter, someone actually tried to give Phil Spencer shit and told Phil Spencer, "I'm canceling my pre-order." And Phil Spencer, to his credit, is going, "You're going to cancel a pre-order to a game you really wanted to play because Windows users are now going to be able to play Quantum Break?"
Doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it's like, come on, grow up, guys.
Fanboyism has no limits.
Yeah. The way I would look, so I look at this as two different ways. First and foremost, as a consumer, it's got to be the best thing for us because it's like I get to play it on the platform I want to rather play it on. I get to play that game at 60 frames if I want to. Right?
No Xbox low for us.
No Xbox low for us, exactly. In the case of Phil, who doesn't want to buy an Xbox One, but isn't necessarily against Windows 10 and Windows Store, if it's done correctly, he'll gladly pony up for the PC. His thing is he wants his games at 1080p, and, the Xbox has had issues there. The other way to look at it is that Remedy's last game, Alan Wake, did not do that hot on just the 360, right? Halo 5 did less than what Halo's usually used to getting. Forza didn't chart. Rise of the Tomb Raider sales were
bad.
I'm not going to go out of the way and say they were bad, but they were definitely not what that franchise should be expecting after how well the reboot did.
Especially with the quality of that second title, Rise.
Apparently it's really good. It's got like an 86 on Metacritic, but like lots of glowing reviews. I don't think it has a mixed review, from my understanding. I think it's all green on Metacritic. So, and the nature of the current gaming market is that the PS4 SKU sells a lot, and if you don't have a PS4 SKU, it's a bit of a uphill battle, right? Which I feel like is a lot of what last gen was like. It was like the 360 SKU did ham, but like PS3 exclusives, at least right up until maybe, what was the big turnaround year? 2009 maybe?
It's end of 8.
Yeah. So around then, that's when like the PlayStation exclusives started to really like make up for the fact that the PS3 user base wasn't always there. Right? But the difference between the two gens is Sony's always had a global presence and Microsoft is very not the same way, right? Like they're very American and then like they sort of have a market in Europe, in the UK, and then that's really it. Like everywhere else, Sony kicks their ass. So, it's a lot harder for them to build the install base. I would wager the Xbox One might never catch the PS3, right? Like, I don't think that's a crazy idea when you think about it.
Probably not. I can't see if the only way I would say that would happen is if Microsoft does a big 180 on their exclusives and actually starts making them.
Yeah, but we're finding it harder and harder for that to even be a thing. Because, like, developers have to give up a lot of money to even let that happen. And Microsoft's at a point where they have to go, like, we need to make a profit on these, like, productions.
Well, what Microsoft seems to be doing with the Xbox One is they're starting to realize it doesn't need to be some closed platform on its own. It really can be harmonious with Windows. And I believe I just read something where it looks like there might even be cross platform buys. So if I buy Quantum Break on my Xbox One or my PC, I get it on the other platform because it's a Windows Store buy, which if they embrace that, then they're really breaking down a wall that could help them, get more games and more exclusives, Windows, let's say, exclusives, not Xbox exclusives or PC exclusives. Yeah,
because the way I look at it, I was like, if that's really true, I'll buy the digital version of Quantum Break, so I effectively have two versions of that game. Because, on a day I don't want to play it on, say, say my PC's out of commission for a little while, whatever. Boom, I could just, log into my Xbox One, and then whatever, if I'm in the
theoretically,
mood for theory.
If they use, let's say, if they use, cloud saves, then theoretically, you could just pick up where you left off.
I don't think they go that far. But, they do the cloud stuff first.
No, Xbox Live already uses cloud stuff. If they use that, some sort of because I heard they were replacing, basically, they've already in Windows 10, they've essentially replaced games for Windows Live with something a lot better.
Yeah.
That's, it's another mimic of Xbox Live, but if they use that system.
Yeah, I was surprised when I found out that some of my Steam games going from PC to PC, my save would carry over. I was surprised when that happened with Alien Isolation. I don't know why. It had been a thing for so long. But, I guess that would be the big positive is that Remedy can make a little bit more money, which I think is a good thing. So, God willing, Platinum Games, who does not tend to sell very well, will get a chance to have an Xbox One and a PC SKU.
If Platinum would make PC games, and they would put them on Steam, and they would survive much better as a company because I think they could sustain on that platform.
Yeah, I mean the harder thing is for them is because they're a Japanese company, a lot of them don't have that expertise of making a PC. We saw with Dark Souls, the PC port, was awful.
But it's not to say Japanese developers can't. The port for Metal Gear Solid 5, at least the tech side of things, was fantastic. The actual gameplay side was definitely not.
To be fair, though, when you think about it, Konami had already done some PC ports before that.
Well, Capcom's also kicks ass on their PC ports.
Yeah, well, that happened after years of making bad ports. Resident Evil 4 and Devil May Cry 3 are notoriously shitty.
Square's doing a good job, too. So maybe we're jumping the gun. Maybe we're not.
Yeah, true. When you're working with Microsoft, in theory, Microsoft has people that know how to.
Yeah, you can just contract.
Yeah, so that's the positive sides of things. I guess the negative people are attaching this to is that the Xbox One is
losing an exclusive,
which whatever, but losing value to people, which I sort of get, Chris. And Wazzy too, actually I forgot. All three of us own a PC and an Xbox One now. It does make me look at my Xbox One and go, wow, you're gonna be a Halo 5 machine until Gears of War 4.
Yeah, that's my thing was wow, I'm starting to almost regret that Xbox One purchase, that I realize I'm a massive Halo fanboy, and I would be betraying myself by not buying one.
Yeah, but how long does it take before Halo ends up there?
I have a funny feeling Halo's going to be the one that's never going to come to the PC while the Xbox exists. They know people will buy Xboxes for Halo, and as long as they don't trash the series, which they could,
trying.
And they are trying. As long as they don't trash the series, and the Xbox is a thing, it will never come to the PC. And
what if they put Master Chief Collection, a non-broken version of that on PC?
They might. I guess we might see that, but I doubt we'll ever see a simultaneous launch of a new Halo game.
Yeah, no, but it'd be rad if they did.
It would be rad, but at the same time, Halo's fundamental gameplay is built around a controller. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you have a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, but I think you just accept the fact that gamepad users will not play Halo.
Well, no, it's not that. It's the feeling and how the weapons are built, and everything is built with that idea. There is a little aim assist. They are a little less precise.
A little aim assist? It's pretty big.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, the whole game is tuned around the inaccuracies of a controller.
Right.
All of a sudden, you have to...
Listen, there's no... one of the unsung heroes about the whole glorious history of Halo is how much that game is built around a gamepad. Like, when you think about everything Halo does, like, 2 weapon systems made sense because it was easier to press a button than... Like, everything about Halo is effectively hotkey design when you think about it. Grenades as a hotkey. Weapon switch as a hotkey, right? And, like, whatever, it became, like, a de facto make all FPS boring design. Yeah, Melee was a hotkey. People forget Melee used to be a weapon you had in your inventory. And then, whatever, like, games just copied Halo's formula without understanding why it worked for Halo, which is the bad way to make any type of video game, right? But, like, Halo and Gears of War. Like, people are like, oh my god, all this whack-a-mole shooters. But when you think of how Gears of War actually plays, you always come to this weird conclusion where there's all these other cover shooters, but none of them quite nail it the way Gears of War does. Except for Uncharted, of course.
I disagree with that.
What really nails it the way Gears of War does?
Just Gears of War. I don't think Uncharted's at the same level.
Well, there you go. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like few games control as snug as Gears of War does.
Nope, I agree. It really is.
Nice meatiness to it. So, like, I'm not gonna diss it for that, but I'm saying, like, if it was moved over to PC, like, people would just naturally say, like, fuck it, I'll just play it on PC. You'll lose something in translation, but at the same way, like, PC cats have been, like, thumbing their nose at Halo because of glorious Unreal Tournament and Quake and Counter-Strike being so much better than Halo and all that stuff, right? Like, that, you know, that crowd will always exist. So,
yeah.
I'm not looking at it too big of a deal. But it does sort of hurt the value for me, because I look at it 2 ways. Either we get this era where everything's coming out on the PC, right? And that's great for me. I don't think any of us would complain. We only have to buy 1 gaming machine for the rest of our lives. I'm not seeing that as a negative, right? Because I think as multi-system owners, you do look at the pocket a little bit and go, ugh.
Right.
You know? Because, what?
Just especially around console release time.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. And in your case, it's never a thing where, like, well, I'm not going to, like, not buy them, because the way you and I look at it is, like, when a game comes out, I want to be able to play it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Because it's a fallacy to assume that, like, in Chris's case, he ended up buying a Wii U. That's
Fucking Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Shit, I almost picked up a Wii U.
Yeah.
Just for Mario Maker.
Oh my god, if there was Nintendo's games belong on a PC. It's so unfair.
Yeah, but and what are we gonna do?
So whatever. Anyway, what was I trying to get at with this? I was like, I do think it sort of hurts their cause, but I also think it's like, people are forgetting that Apple was really kicking their ass in the mobile tablet department, right? And Android's ahead of the curve in that department, and Microsoft needs to start justifying desktop PCs to normal people, right? Like, we're getting closer and closer where people spend more money on a laptop, MacBooks.
We passed that a long time ago, actually.
Yeah.
The
Like,
thing is, though,
Microsoft's OS dominance is still there, but it's not what it used to be.
at least the home scene.
Yeah.
And that's not where the majority of their revenue comes from. But they don't. Half of why businesses adopted Microsoft so much back in the day is because it did have the home scene as well.
Yeah.
And therefore people were familiar.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think if they can somehow make Xbox more of the Windows box, you know, an natural extension of your computer.
Right.
And then simply embrace gaming as Microsoft gaming.
Yeah.
On all platforms. I think everyone wins. Cause
I mean, the next machine almost shouldn't be called an Xbox. It should be the Windows console.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll get rid of the name.
They'll never go that far. Yeah, because they branded it. But in a weird way, I think that brand would do better. A Windows console. I think that has larger appeal than an Xbox 4.
It's an Xbox
we'll
2,
see.
man.
Oh my god, do not even joke. They go down that path. Fuck them.
Xbox Cloud.
Could be. It could be a streaming thing, for all we know.
Who knows? I know Amazon's got that new engine.
Yeah.
It's all cloud streaming shit. That could be cool.
But at the same time, I'm like, I'm totally down for if Microsoft gets like that's something Microsoft absolutely needs to do is get Windows to be this one giant unified platform that has a good interface for every little thing, right? Like, because the initial time when they had the Metro interface for what was it, Windows 8?
8,
Yeah,
yes.
that wasn't good. Like, that was a bad interface for a desktop PC. It's great on a tablet, but like, I'm not touching the fucking monitor.
I'm gonna say, if they could fix it up, my next phone would be a Windows phone, and then I'd get a Windows tablet. I mean, but they haven't embraced it to the point where I want to go all Apple on Microsoft.
Yeah. Whereas I'm perfectly content with my iPhone, to be quite honest. But
yeah, and I'm fine with my Android.
I'm glad because I really do like the potential that Microsoft's new IPs have. Obviously, I have a thing for Platinum Games. Remedy's a good studio. God, do I want to see Rare be good again? And Recore, I'd love to know that the Metroid Prime director can make a new game, even if that fraud Keiji Inafune is on it. But, you know, it is what it is right now. Chances of Sony ever going down this path?
I just don't see what their extension would be.
Well, the PS4 is doing very well on its own.
Yeah, that too.
If the PS4 was starting to really bomb, I would see them moving more toward an idea of a platform. Like, I could see them embracing the idea of like a Steam box kind of thing, where it's basically a PC console, and you buy PC games, you can play it on the console. Or Sony would just drop out of the race altogether.
Well, my thing of looking at it was it wouldn't be necessarily that their consoles aren't selling, it's that their software isn't doing what they would like. But the thing is, their software is done better than expectation. Like every one of their games so far. Drive Club did really well for them. The Order did really well for them.
I heard they weren't happy with the Order.
I thought they were.
I heard they weren't, and that's why...
Okay, whatever. Until Dawn did really well. I know Until Dawn did well. Yeah. I know Bloodborne makes sense because it should do well.
Uncharted 4 should do very well this year.
Uncharted is going to do big number. I think Uncharted's going to have a strong show.
You know what? I think sold a lot of PS4s as well. You're going to hate this, but I think Destiny sold a shit ton.
What do you mean? That's not even a question. Of course it did.
Like, and Sony was very smart with embracing that one. Like,
they were ahead of the curve. They got this.
They did what Microsoft did with Call of Duty last gen.
Yep.
And actually, what's funny is that Call of Duty is bigger on the PS4 now. Like, Microsoft even lost that.
Microsoft's SOL right now this gen. They are suddenly in the position that Nintendo's been in, which is that now you have to sell your own machine. And whatever, Microsoft is in a better position because Microsoft has third-party games. So that's why they speak to a larger audience. And
it's not like they haven't sold. They're roughly around 20 million sold.
They're doing better than the Wii U.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's certainly Sony's running away with this. And if they don't do something about their exclusive scene soon,
then like what
they're going to really have problems.
Scenario like this means that more developers will be willing to partner with Microsoft because they're not looking at it like, fuck, we're making an Xbox One game. Like, okay, an Xbox One PC game, I could do that. It's still a multi-plat to them. You get what I'm saying? Because Sunset Overdrive didn't do well.
No, and that's sad because I enjoyed that game.
It's a fresh game. It deserved a chance to at least get maybe a sequel, or like Insomniac should be rewarded for not making Ubisoft Tower claiming Game 50. You know?
Hey, even Ubisoft's not making Ubisoft's content.
Not doing Ubisoft content this year. Yeah, it's a weird year. While we're at it, Bungie has come up and said that 2016's Destiny game, because it will be a yearly thing with Destiny, is an expansion, and Destiny 2 is a 2017 game.
And
which actually isn't a terrible turnaround. And
I really doubt Destiny 2 will be a sequel as much as it will be a big expansion.
Yeah,
that's where my guess is.
So, I think a lot of this makes sense when you think of what their Halo cycle was, which is that Halo 1 was 2001, Halo 2 was 04, Halo 3 was 07, and then Halo Reach was 2010. There was an ODST in between, but they were up front, was a very small team doing a rush job.
And then charging me $60 for it, which I have.
That's a Microsoft move.
God damn it.
That's a Microsoft move. But I'm saying, like, when you think about it, Bungie's always been a very 3-year studio. Like, that they tend to... I would argue their games have never had a polishing issue. Halo 2, but that game's notoriously had one of, like, the craziest crunch times, right?
Did they, like, I forget with Halo 2, that wasn't like a surefire thing that was going to happen right after Halo 1 because they had to let the Xbox actually become successful.
Well, it wasn't so much that it wasn't a surefire thing. It was that they completely had this disjointed campaign, right? And then they scrapped it with like a year to go. And
Sounded a lot like Destiny.
Yeah. So they were like, we're just going to make this campaign in a year. Like, Halo 3 wasn't supposed to be a thing. Halo itself was supposed to... Think about that for a second. Halo was supposed to be a 2-game run on the Xbox. And here we are today.
Yeah, well, they were stupid for ever thinking it was going to be a 2-game run.
Well, I mean, Bungie was aiming for it.
There.
Bungie was aiming for it with the story. Like, the actual story was... And if we're being honest, I don't think Halo's ever recovered from the fact that Halo's had an ending.
No, it hasn't, and I don't think it ever will.
They've been making shit up since Halo 2.
No. I think it would have done better if they would just give up this idea that Master Chief needs to be the main character. I thought Halo Reach was perfect in terms of storytelling and what they did, but then they're like, let's shoehorn it back in Master Chief.
What I'm saying, though, is I felt like when Call of Duty 4 became the big FPS, and when Call of Duty just rose up the ranks, that was the beginning of the end of Halo as the king.
Oh, right? Yeah, most certainly.
Because I think when Reach came out, Reach is successful, but I think people forget two things. One, the 360 was even more successful by the time Reach came out. And two, Reach fell off quicker than Halo 3 did. Like, we played it a lot because we liked it, but it was still very much like... I remember Chris making jokes like, wow, I remember when Halo 3 was out, it was already still like 700,000 users on right now.
Yep.
So, yeah, and then Halo 4 was obviously like an even more dramatic version of that, but,
at least Halo 5 seems to be keeping a strong audience.
Stabilizing.
Yeah, but that's come after a colossal fall off from Master Chief Collection because that game was broken. And everything we've ever heard about Halo 5 sales is that this is going to be the weakest selling Halo right now.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean... Yeah. Halo, the gameplay, I just don't think it appeals, especially... Well, they also limit themselves to the fact that they're on a non-great selling machine. I think a lot of people who own a 360 bought Halo just because that was the game to get. But they're not Halo fans that deep, so they didn't go out of their way to buy an Xbox One for Halo. Yeah, I'm just not to mention, I think a lot of people are still just turned off that they are still making Halo with a new studio.
Yeah. Anyway, the point I was trying to make, I guess, is like, in a dev cycle sort of way, this makes sense for Bungie. They've always been I think they value the 3-year cycle. I sort of like the 3-year cycle.
I like the 3-year cycle.
I hate 2-year cycles for whatever reason. 2 years makes me feel like there's just not enough time sometimes. 3 years feels great to me. And then, in the case of Destiny, you made the argument that the Taken King was a great step forward for them again. I'm sure they'll make even bigger changes and improvements in the new expansion, especially for the shit they've gotten a little bit after that expansion, right? And then Destiny 2, whether or not it's going to be a full-fledged sequel is going to be hard to tell, because how do you transfer over that content? But I also don't think they're going to be straight-up expansion. I think it is going to be a hard shift, though.
I don't know. I could see Destiny 2 just being Destiny 2. I hope it's like an Assassin's Creed situation, where it's the game that it was supposed to be the first time.
Yeah.
Off the bat. Because, Destiny, I'm sure after this expansion, the big one that comes out this year in 2016, that is probably what people envisioned original Destiny was going to be.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the loot game, of the loot shooter that it was supposed to be.
Right.
Either way, good on Bungie, I guess. It isn't...
They're still trying.
I don't know if I guess we can't say too good of a job because it's like you made so much money, you should be trying. The other big news, not the biggest news because not too many people know about it, but Kara Ellison, who's writing I Really Like, won a New York Games Journalism Award. I want to say from the New Yorker for the book she's written. I forgot the name of her book, so we're going to have to be lazy right now and go
Max
to Twitter.
Integrity.
Max Integrity. I really feel bad. Well, so I was trying to buy it today on Amazon. I'm like, it's not out. Alright, sorry. It's called In Bed with Games, right? Basically, the story behind that book is that Kara Ellison joked on Twitter. I don't know if joked, but she basically said if she got the Patreon money if she got $1,000, she would go around the world full vagabond style and start like doing essays, write-ups of different game studios, independent studios across the country, right? And within fucking hours, she got this money. And then she went. Like, she did her thing. Went to Tokyo, Melbourne, New York, LA, San Fran, Scotland, all these places. And it's supposed to be a book of all her different, like, stories, right? And that's fucking rad when you think about it. Like,
right.
No one else is doing anything cool like that. So, congratulations to her. I'm still sad that she's more or less retired from doing other games journalism or editorials because she's fucking awesome. So
maybe she'll just keep coming back and doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, that might be taxing to do. Like twice go around the world again.
Well, I don't know if anything to that extent, but just little exposés like that.
2015 New York Games Journalism Award. I really don't have a link to who the people are giving the award, but it's gonna go on her thing. Either way, congratulations to her. And the idle bit of news this week is that GameTrailers.com is no more. They are closing down. And that partially sucks because the first person to ever do our No Jive interview was actually Kyle Bossman.
It's true.
Yeah, and I like the final Bossman. He is unfortunately without a job, though apparently he got a quick shout out from Total Biscuit, so I'm sure we'll get Kyle Bossman really quick. But Game Trailers, the voice of Brandon Jones, your top 10 lists, your retrospectives, your GC Timeline, Invisible Walls, it was bonus round. That website's done.
Which is crazy, because I remember that's where when I had shitty internet, that's where I used to go to see, like even before YouTube, go see new game trailers.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That website was ahead of the curve in that sense that they knew where games media was going to be at. And they just started. It wasn't just the trailers, it was the dev diaries they would get.
Right.
The interviews they would get. It was like, yes, this is different from everyone else. Because, whatever, like, written interviews were great, and fucking, what's the word when you have to break it all down into words? Like you're taking
summaries?
No, you're taking an audio recording and into...
Oh, transcript.
Yeah, when you were transcribing those, like, that's a pain in the ass. I did one when we were doing the Yacht Club Games one, and I was like, oh my god. And the funny thing you learn is, wow, as human beings... we have shitty grammar when we speak because we say such useless shit. But now it's like they're in an era. A lot of people did the fucking YouTube because usually I say YouTube didn't really eat their lunch, but in this case, YouTube totally ate their lunch. YouTube absolutely took their trailers away, took their interviews away. I mean, at this point, every major publisher has a YouTube channel. So, when they want to put the the launch trailer of a game, right, it goes right on the freaking PlayStation Store, the PlayStation channel, the Xbox channel, or EA's channel, right? But at the same time, I look at this and I go, the reasons Game Trailers is no more is also the reasons why Giant Bomb thrives. Mm-hmm. Why Video Gamer is, in my opinion, at least it looks like to me, are rising in the ranks because they promoted their personalities first and foremost. I felt like for the longest time, Game Trailers was the Brandon Jones voice, right? Like it was a while before you actually knew who a reviewer was on that website.
Right.
You had to listen to their podcast to know who reviews games on that website, and if you did, you knew Marcus Beer because he did Annoyed Gamer or Angry Gamer? No, Annoyed Gamer. No, Grumpy, whatever. It was one of those.
It was something irate.
Yeah. That was his gimmick. And then Shane Satterfield, who was the EIC, right? And we really only heard their opinions on, again, their podcast, or you saw them on the Bonus Round show. The Bonus Round show was actually one of the cooler shows they had, in my opinion. So really what became an issue for them was, first and foremost, the way ads worked on that website is that people just got annoyed with that. Like, getting an ad 3 times during a video...
no one likes ads.
Just doesn't work. Like, there's a reason... people don't watch shows on NBC.com and CBS.com, but instantly responded to Netflix and Hulu. Right? Like, you get to watch it uninterrupted.
Not Hulu.
Yeah. Hulu doesn't uninterrupted. If you're subscribed to it.
Last time I was subscribed to it, I had to watch ads 3 times during my South Park episodes.
I thought there were still ads on Hulu.
They might have gotten rid of that recently, but I
don't use Hulu. I was using Hulu as an example. Amazon Prime though is good about it.
Yes, they are.
Amazon Prime's awesome. So that hurt their cause a little bit. I think the other thing was, how often did they really do original content after a while? Like, it felt like, and part of this is on the gaming audience, because I guess you have to show them with hits that it's a viable thing to do this. Because I would imagine the retrospectives is a lot of time. Like, us ourselves recognize that going back to old games takes up a lot of our free time to actually pull that off, because games aren't exactly short. So doing a retrospective for Resident Evil, and Jesus Christ, did they do almost all those games in some capacity. Even the fucking spin-offs, which I think you need to draw a line when you're doing those. Like, just mention them, but don't play them. Like, think about it. You really don't need... The history of Resident Evil does not need you to talk about Resident Evil Dead. Like, fuck that game.
It's crucial.
It can also not talk about Resident Evil 4. I'm not 4, 6. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was when, Resident Evil 5 was coming out, when they had that. But, like, GT Timeline was cool. Like, think about it. They did an entire thing dedicated to Kingdom Hearts' timeline.
Yeah, they did the Kingdom Hearts timeline.
And that has to be so taxing to actually play through all those games and take notes and all that shit.
Aren't there like 70 Kingdom Hearts games?
Man, it's absurd. 70s.
There's like... There's like 8 of them, but even with 8...
Alright, so there's two regular console games. There's at least... So that would be 6 handheld games?
I'm just counting them in my head. Keep talking. I'll get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, okay. The point is, like, that's a very convoluted timeline, and I would wager the only reason they didn't make a sequel, a third episode, if you will, to that show, because they did Zelda. Zelda fans will show up for a fucking anything with Zelda.
There's 8.
Yeah, so Kingdom Hearts, I'm guessing the hits weren't there for them to keep doing that, and that sucks. Because I thought their original content, when it was good, was top-notch. I thought the bonus round panels were always... Like, when it was console war-centric, it was tiring, and Jeff Keighley can be a little boring with some of the questions he gets. But sometimes there's, like, this great chemistry with the people they have there. Like, you get to listen to David Jaffe, and David Jaffe is an awesome listen because he's never, like, vanilla.
Doesn't hold back, yeah.
Yeah. Cliff Bleszinski, you get a very raw answer from him. He's very PR, but it's good PR, at least when he's there. I liked Jason Rubin every time he was on. He was one of the people who called that Sony was going to take the L when it came to the PS3. He came off as a prophet when he came up with that, because we all thought the PS3 was going to kill it, right? That was the height of Sony's powers.
Uh-huh.
And then he was one of the people who said that free-to-play type stuff wouldn't necessarily die out because there's a value in having that type of business model. It's not that serious if you give people cheat codes to just skip through some parts of single-player gameplay. And here we are today, and that's exactly what happened, right? I mean, whatever, there's examples of it being done shady, but there's also examples of where you go, I mean, I just don't care. It's not that big of a deal, right? Like, we haven't badmouthed all microtransactions. We just badmouth it when we feel like it's being done stupid.
Yep.
Right? So, like, he's been really good in that, and it's almost hilarious that he knew all this stuff, but then came on to THQ when they were basically dead in the water to save a sinking ship. I don't know, whatever. I guess it looks good on the resume that you tried? I don't know.
If anyone could have done it.
Yeah.
It just couldn't be done.
It was the point of no return. I don't think he'll ever get blamed for that loss, because it was like, no, he went to a completely sinking ship. It was a weird thing. It's just, man, when I think of game trailers, I really came back to, and I hate saying this, but I was like, man, I really can't think of a good thing we lost other than Final Boss.
I really liked that E3 video from last year.
I stopped going to game trailers when YouTube took over, because game trailers used to have the original upload your videos to us and we'll share them.
Yeah.
And YouTube killed everyone else who was doing that, including GameSpot even had that.
Yeah. I mean... So,
once that happened, I mean, I like Joff, I guess, but he's moved on to bigger and better things.
Who?
Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff Keighley? Yeah.
Why did I say Joff? Jeff Keighley, yeah. He was there.
Joff.
Yeah.
He was there for the longest time, and
He was running their TV show, but the TV show eventually got tiring and exhausting. I feel like a lot of what you looked at game trailers as like a brand. I hate to describe it that way because like we're talking about people as a brand. That's so stupid. But it did hurt their cause a little bit with that show because it was like I just don't respect it. It's very shillish, right? It is a marketing show when you get down to it.
Game trailers just feels very early mid 2000s to me. You know what I mean? Like it
ran its course.
It's an encapsulation of time. Yeah, it was perfect for what it was at the beginning of gaming, coming to the internet and everything like that. But I don't know. At this point in time, as you said, we're not. It sucks that people are losing their jobs.
That sucks. Yeah. I would love to see all these people have healthy careers, make money, and then all that stuff.
But are we really losing anything?
Yeah, because I look at them. Well, first of all, if I look at them as a review outlet, I always hated their review scale. Like 100-point scales are shit on premise. I fucking hate the fact that it's broken into weird categories. Their scores are very inflated for starters. And just the addendum, like whatever. Having shitty opinions is whatever with games. Who cares? They will not be the first or the last website Goggin disagrees with opinions on. That does not reflect whether or not I cared about that website. My thing was it just got to a point where outside of Kyle Bossman, I didn't want to watch their stuff. And when I look at Giant Bomb, they're not built on whether or not they get ad revenue from you clicking their ads on their website. They're built on whether or not you subscribe, and if their subscribers stay as subscribers to their like premium stuff. And
ironically, that they may be, ironically, I think Giant Bomb's onto something because it looks like ad revenue is killing websites.
Yeah.
Because no one clicks on ads.
Jim Sterling is a Patreon story. Think about it. He makes $100,000 a year through Patreon. That's without getting into whatever his YouTube checks are going to be.
Which are probably substantial, given his numbers.
Yeah. So, and he's got great, like, connections in the industry, so he's always going to have good access. He's highly entertaining when he does his Jimquisition show, right? He's a brand, more or less. Again, sorry for wording it this way.
He's a personality.
Another thing I think that game trailers is, what really took over from the idea of, this even extends to like IGN and GameSpot. Game trailers built themselves around presenting games in a professional way. You saw the nice demos and stuff. But what has YouTube and Giant Bomb even does this with their
loosen up
previews?
Like, we don't want tight people.
And they just, here's the game, I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Now, I might talk about, because I know if I hear about some indie game somewhere, I don't run to find someone talking about it. I just want to spend 5 minutes watching it.
Yeah.
And you could then have the Let's Plays, I guess. Kids like those. I'm not big into those, but then the previews that Giant Bomb does is like, hey, we're going to play this. You're going to drill me out questions, but they get to hear about the game and watch it. Game trailers never really embrace that, I think.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because I always say this. I was like, if you're not bringing in the future generation, you are fucked. You need to think about how you're going to speak to kids, at least on some level, because your demographic today will get tired of you one day. Like, they will get tired of you. Right? Yep. Disney understands that the Lion King cannot draw them money every generation. They're gonna need something different every generation from here on forward, right? That's been my big worry with modern gaming, is every time they show a number of the average gamer, I'm like, wow, that number keeps rising. Like, to me, I feel like it should drop. Like,
it's gonna level out.
Yeah, whatever. So, I also think that we were talking about this before this started, but like maybe the era of a game-specific website is old hat. Like when we think of game consoles, a game-only console, which is what would we think of with Nintendo consoles? Is like it's clearly outdated. It's clearly wrong. Why are you making an entertainment device for the late 90s when we're in the year 2015 and 2016?
If your console
Sony and Microsoft, Sony and Microsoft really have embraced the idea that their consoles are not just places to play games.
Yeah, and it's like
they've done a very good job of that.
And it's maybe like some of these websites are, at least when you're a bigger website, you need to be able to flesh out a little bit more, because I feel like we're getting more and more to the thing where if you want to accept the idea that gaming belongs in the same conversation as films and television, when you think of other entertainment websites, like AV Club has a TV section and a book section and a movie section and a video game section. I don't think anyone goes to AV Club for their game reviews, but, you know, the point I'm trying to get across is that there's a lot of websites that do multiple things. The reason IGN is like this big powerhouse is when you think about it is IGN does a little bit of everything.
Yeah, they got movies, TVs, comics.
Yeah,
like GameSpot's changing their format to be more IGN-like.
Yeah, like
and it's working for them.
People joke that IGN has bad taste. I was like, yeah, but they're spreading their bad taste across all these mediums, so they're getting a larger audience in the grand scheme of things. Like I think like smaller websites can obviously make it because you're behaving. Like Giant Bomb, the other benefit to Giant Bomb is they're not overproduced. Like, they're just now building. Video Gamer, the reason why it's working is it's 4 freaking British dudes just talking shit half the time. So it's, like, funny when, you know, like, they're allowed to do various skits, and, like, the low-budget nature of their CGI actually enhances the joke sometimes. Right? Like, it adds to it. Like, Steve Burns just shitting on games is funny to me. Like, his Uncharted video is so funny to me. So...
You know what else is interesting in game trailers? In all the years that it was alive, they never gave one game a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Graw is going to leave that website with a 9.9, the highest score they've ever given.
Oh, game trailers?
Yeah, 9.9.
No, they just gave something to 10.
Did they?
On their way out, yeah.
I thought that was it.
The Witcher 3?
Shit, no, it wasn't The Witcher 3. Crest, I forget, but they just gave something to perfect score.
We could just look this up. Put The Witcher 3 in, look up the game trailer score.
No, Witcher 3 got a 9.8.
No, you're not hearing me right now. You just go to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, you go look up the game trailer score, and look up all this publication's reviews.
That's what I'm doing. Like I said, there's the highest they gave was 98, so things like Last of Us, Witcher 3, Bayonetta 2, Halo 3.
Oh, you're gonna like this. Game Trailers fixes Bloodborne review to end its 13-year run on a high note, and I believe they gave it to a 10. They gave it a 10.
Oh, they rescored it?
They rescored it and gave Bloodborne a 10.
Ah, that would be the only one.
That was the last video they made?
That's the last thing they did.
So I
don't know if it's the last video they made.
They adjusted their review to say at least we had to 110.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
the
much.
one they went to. I don't blame them.
Bloodborne's not a bad game. Give it 10.
Yeah. All right. So it was GTA 4, Bayonetta 2, Witcher 3 at a 98, GTA 5, Zelda, Halo. Wow, a lot of games got a 98.
Yeah, but that's
in that 99 or 100 out.
These aren't exactly bad. I'm not even like trying to say this a joke, but like these are like other than Grand Theft Auto 4, right? These are all games that like immediately get people's respect. The Last of Us, awesome game. Bayonetta 2, awesome game.
Remember when Grand Theft Auto 4 came out? It was the hype, and everyone loved it.
Well, the reviews were hype, but then we all started to see through the cracks. But yes, I understand what you're saying. Grand Theft Auto 4 was like a highly reviewed game.
Well, that was like the same reason why Metal Gear Solid 4 got such high reviews.
Yeah, but that one was a boot camp scenario, which seems to be the thing with the most recent Metal Gears, is that they've gotten inflated review scores because of bad practices from Konami and Hideo Kojima. Sorry.
Yeah. You're gonna get them mobbed in their pitchforks after you again.
Like, whatever. It's I like Kojima, but let's be real. Kojima had a role to play in that. I don't know. It sucks, but
Well, I mean,
let's hope other websites learn from game trailers' mistakes. Right?
They were a cautionary tale.
Yeah. If you have a novelty, don't expect that novelty to stay. Because all YouTube and Twitch have been trying to do is take each other's novelty away. Right? Like, now Twitch has live streaming. YouTube has live streaming. So.
Remember, we all shall fall.
We all shall fall at one point. It's how we get back up. That'll do it for news. So, once again, gaming continued to have a relatively slow year, other than the fact that, yes, at one point, a big gaming website. I thought Game Trailers would be considered a big website at one point.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly.
So them closing sucks. I hope those people find jobs. Moving on, we played video games.
We do that sometimes.
We do
every once
that
in a while.
Sometimes. I have been playing one of the Game Club Games of the Month, I went with the judge's pick of the month, Bully.
Bully.
A 2006 Rockstar open world game where you play as a high school student named Jimmy, or James, or whatever the fuck his name is in this story. He's a little
highly controversial.
Highly controversial. He goes to a private academy, like a boarding school, more or less, is what the words I call these things. But it's rather strange to play a game like this, because it definitely plays and feels like a Rockstar game, right? Because it's got Rockstar's brand of satire. Yeah. If I was to describe it, I would compare it to something like what South Park does, where it's very over the top and just like does not give a fuck.
Absurd, yeah.
Yeah, like if it's gonna be as anti-politically correct as it wants to be.
For a T-rated game.
Bully's a T-rated game?
I think so.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
I think it is, actually.
Yeah, wow, Rockstar did T-rated games back then. That's crazy. I just think it's really cool to go back to this game, because I never played it, and it was just interesting to see like what my present day thoughts of Rockstar are and what my opinion of Rockstar's games from even that era are. And the way I would describe it is like it's a pretty neat open world game with bad Rockstar mechanics, and not just regular bad Rockstar mechanics, but like 2006 and before Rockstar mechanics, right? But it reminds me that people think that Rockstar's more or less made the same game forever now. They've just gotten better at certain things, and there's a degree of truth to that. Because like when I describe the following things, you're going to think, well, that's exactly what their open world games are now. Bully is a lot of going on and doing a lot of little mini games, like little varied mission ideas, right? But the initial stretch is doing tutorial versions of each little mini game you might play in the game. And when you think of GTA 5, you think that's exactly what the beginning of that game is like. You do a lot of tutorials, more or less. But it feels more, for the lack of a better term, gamey in Bully. It does feel very much like Rockstar's got their own weird take on WarioWare than an actual open world. Like, I feel Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto 4 and Grand Theft Auto 5 are more about an atmosphere, more about a tone they're setting, right? I think the gameplay and the tutorializing will eventually stop for a little bit just because the tone dictates that they need to do something else right now. Like, they need to further the story along, so now we're going to stop the tutorials for a bit, right? I also think that they're just not inherently absurd mechanically as they used to be, right? Which makes sense. They became a more serious studio. I feel like they graduated from being Comedy Central to Gaming's FX. Yeah, not ready to call them Gaming's HBO.
Not ready there?
No, we're not going that far. We're not going that far. John Marston was one really good character from them. Let's not get carried away here. And now all of a sudden they're Gaming's HBO. But it's fun. Every little mechanic I could like pick apart and say it's not particularly great, but like it coalesces into like a really neat gameplay experience. Because like, I'm not gonna lie, I have attended every class so far. I haven't really cut class. Been getting good grades.
Fucking nerd.
I kind of like the freaking biology class. I mean, it's so simple, but it's like dumb that like they made like you're freaking splicing up frogs and shit. And all.
I remember.
I was like going back to high school. The chemistry class is fun. The class that gives me a little bit of trouble.
I'm gonna laugh. It's math. I'm gonna laugh.
Geography.
Okay.
How?
Because I don't cheat and just randomly figure out what's... Like, I didn't know what Switzerland's flag is.
It's the dumb cross thing.
The blue and white cross thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
well,
Switzerland's flag is white.
So the first
red.
geography test I had was it shows you a map of Europe without any of the countries named, and it gives you the flags, and you have to pick up which region. And I'm just going, where the fuck is Switzerland again in this? So, like, I'll openly admit I'm not particularly that.
Well, because it's the only one you can't cheese. It's like either you know this or you don't.
Yeah. Well, there's the English one, which is basically Scrabble. So I'm like,
Yo,
okay,
harder
I'm
than
good
English,
at
man.
this.
Yeah.
So it's annoying. Najui is not a word for bully, and I'm like, this counts in Words with Friends. How dare you, Rockstar?
Words with Friends is bullshit in the first place.
So you're saying
Sorry, Bully has a little bit more integrity than that fucking game.
Okay, whatever. So that stuff's actually fun. A lot of the missions are doing just going up and punching other kids, but
Classic.
it's
Child
funny 'cause
violence.
it's like a lot of it is do this side quest or do this class, and you get an upgraded like stat, or you get like you get more health bonuses when you kiss a girl, or it's easier for you to bully other kids now, or your lockpicking time gets better because reasons. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I also think because it's a school and the suburbs aren't large, right? It's not a big open world. The way San Andreas was huge around this time. And most would argue San Andreas was maybe too big for a lot of people. Because Rockstar didn't have checkpoints back then because they're scumbags.
No, they didn't. And oh man, that made that game almost impossible to play.
And
all you had to do was chase the train.
Yeah, so like it was really fun to play a Rockstar game that's just very relaxed and fun. Like their old PS2 days. There's a quaintness to it all.
I remember Bully being a much more modest effort.
Yeah, like it didn't feel overdone.
No.
Yeah. I guess if I had to, it's not really a knock against the game itself. It's the PC version has issues with Windows 10 now. It was a crash fest for me and Troll Brian. And the Steam community page is a whole lot of people saying, put it in. By the way, there's an asshole there that tells you when you put in Windows 8 compatibility, it fixes it. There's 5 people telling him it doesn't fix it. He's like, no, it totally does. Yes, asshole. We're all wrong. We're just making up this crash
You're all lying.
happening. What ended up working for me and Troll Brian was Vista SP1. But I also think it has more to do with, I think some of the chapters are buggier than others on Windows 10, because Chapter 1 went smooth for us. Chapter 2 was a nightmare. Like, sometimes I would do a mission and it would crash.
Oh.
So I've been saving compulsively. Like, after every mission, every class, I go save.
See, I actually remember this Bully Scholarship Edition on the Xbox 360. I remember that being a stuttery, crashy mess,
Well,
too.
yeah, that wasn't a good port. Like, that was actually a bad port from us.
It wasn't actually until recently, like, post Max Payne 3, did Rockstar get their heads out of their ass with their tech.
Yeah.
Like, their games were always buggy messes up until Max Payne 3.
Yeah. Oh, there's such good PC features, though, for those two ports. I love the thing that tells you how much of your graphics memory you're using. Graphics memory? That's right? That's a good term?
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's a thing.
That's a thing. Anyway, but like, they have like a little meter that tells you, oh, so I should tone, like, why don't other games have this, WASD?
You don't need it. You can download MSI Afterburner and have it on your display for all games.
Arkham
That's why.
Knight had it in the...
No, it literally tells you, like, how much of your graphics card.
I know exactly what you're saying. MSI Afterburner does all that stuff.
But, like, it's so much more elegant and cool in Rockstar's game. Like, listen, I'm praising Rockstar. This is a rare moment for society. Actually, I say this, but, like, I actually don't. Like, whatever, I don't think they're the greatest things in sliced bread, but I also I feel like I give them their credit where I think they deserve it. Which is that I think they're technically impressive. And looking at Bully, I just go, the one unheralded thing about Rockstar is think of how fucking unique they're willing to be.
Bully, yeah. No
Like,
kidding.
It's not just Bully.
Yeah.
They invested in LA Noire. For all the shitty things LA Noire does, LA Noire is a AAA game built around non-violent interactions.
They made a table tennis game.
They made a table tennis game, and they put their names on it like they're Hideo Kojima.
Yeah,
Rockstar's table tennis.
Like, yeah, they play it more or less safe with the Grand Theft Auto series. But when they play it safe, they also play it best in the genre.
I would
kind
say
of a deal.
it's not even just that they play it safe. It's that like they take advantage of the fact, like, okay, so if we're gonna throw the most money at our safest project, let's make it something that you instantly go, okay, I can't automatically dismiss this. Grand Theft Auto 5, regardless of whether or not you like that game, you can't even say it doesn't earn your money because it's like it's such a technical achievement alone. Like, I still joke.
fact it got running on a PS3 and 360, it's just amazing.
It's like 20 frames per second, but who cares? I'm like, what deal with the devil did you make to make this happen?
And then they put it on the PC, and you see some of those 4K shots with guys who have the rig, and it's just,
In a class of its own.
Yeah, it's up there. It was one of the first, I would say, that did the quote-unquote generational leap. The other one I can think of at the top of my head is Witcher 3.
But yeah, like take this
That's
for
about
instance.
it.
Everyone that's bad-mouthing The Order and like, oh, well, no one's going to compare it to the Order sequel. No one gave a shit about Red Dead Revolver. Like, Metacritic-wise, that the game didn't do too hot.
No.
I would argue that's in the Chris going, yeah, it's one of those forget-about-it games. I don't really remember it actually playing all that well. Remind me again how people responded to Red Dead Redemption, because I'm pretty sure they were calling it a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Wazzy you would consider it a masterpiece. I know Phil thinks the world of that game. I know William really likes that game. Kira likes that game. Chris, I mean, it's not a masterpiece to us, but we both think, like, no, it does so many things well.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I would say the only thing it really doesn't do well is the fact that it's got that crappy Rockstar tech from the early 6th, 7th gen.
Oh, fuck that. That first time you get into Mexico and the music's playing and the sun's coming up, that's such an awesome sequence.
Yeah.
I think Red Dead is still a looker.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is. I'm just saying, it's a looker, and then you look up and see a horse flying.
It's great. It's great.
No, that's the best part of the game.
So now you're starting to sound like a bunch of Bethesda fanboys saying, but the bugs make the game.
Rockstar deserves more praise than Bethesda, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, because I joke with Phil. I didn't even joke. I mean this. Like, if they made Bully 2 and it was Mean Girls, the video game, I would not be against it.
That's a logical step for that game.
It's just a logical step. I guess Bully didn't do that hot sales-wise, which sucks, because...
And these guys are not afraid to spend $250 million to make a game.
Yeah, but they do need them to be hits. Like, Max Payne 3 looks like it'll never get a sequel, because Max Payne 3 didn't do that hot. Which is a shame, because it's the same exact team. That Rockstar Vancouver team did Max Payne 3. Like, the main guys behind Max Payne 3 are the main guys behind Bully. And both
that game would be a whole hell of a lot better as when I replayed it, I could skip the fucking cutscenes.
Yeah, that really
I will not replay it because I spend half the game. Well, it wasn't all that great of a story.
Max Payne 3 is one of the few games that needed a horde mode badly.
Oh god, a co-op horde mode would have been the greatest thing in the world.
You needed uninterrupted bullet time, just because that game's mechanics are so fucking good. Anyway, and, like, the other thing that's always lost in this is they did Manhunt, and people will say, well, Manhunt's just, like, it was speaking to the fact that Rockstar's edgy, and they're what's the word, controversial, right? Like, that's Rockstar. They make the controversial game, man. But I also look at it a different way. I was like, think of the way people responded to hatred. Someone had to make a game like Manhunt so we could know what the line is. Like, we will all agree playing Manhunt can be a little unsettling. It's very
queasy.
You won't see a game like Manhunt with today's graphics.
No,
you can't do it.
But at the same time, I would go, it's a good thing Rockstar was willing to push that envelope. It's a good thing that they were saying, you know what, fuck you, we're going to do what we want. You know, it's almost like the name Rockstar is very, like, apropos for exactly how they develop games and how they
GTA, I mean, when GTA 3 came out, they got a lot of shit, too, because people were running down civilians in their cars.
Oh, think of how ahead of the curve they were when they came up with GTA 3, though.
Nah, well, they took their already good idea of an open-world crime game, but actually made it functional and fun.
Think about it, though. Like, think about what GTA 3 was when we were kids.
You could hire prostitutes.
Like, that game was so... It felt like a game from space when I played it.
That's the game that you know, your parents didn't let you buy it, but your friend's parents let him buy it. So you all mob that one kid's house to play the game.
Grand Theft Auto 3 is the golden eye of that era to me. And when I mean the golden eye of that era, I mean, like, the game we all played.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was that generation's Ocarina of Time. Doesn't necessarily mean it was the best game. I'm not saying it was. Ironically, I think all three of those aren't the best games of their generation. But I am saying that we all played that game. We all had to play that game because we all needed to see it.
Put it this way, we played all three that generation. That's how big they were.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how big and trend-setting they were, and still to this day, very few people capture that open world.
No one
essence
badmouths those games. No one really badmouths those games. It's like Rockstar is always chasing the ghost of their PS2 era.
The only problem with those games, if you want to, you can't enjoy them now because they're so out of date, and they didn't age well. But at the time,
I agree.
shit, were they just the thing to play.
Yeah. So, whatever. That's been really cool to go back to Bully. If I had gameplay shortcomings, it's very much that mechanically it's not interesting. The missions are a cakewalk in Bully. Cause, like, what's a threat to you in this game? The story really, I don't really get what's the grand plot here, cause Rockstar's sense of humor is, like, it's hit or miss. They're not exactly South Park, where they're consistently funny to me. They're Rockstar. Sometimes they make a funny joke, sometimes they don't. Gary is an interesting character, I'm not gonna lie. He's so fucking insane. Chris, I guess it's been a while for you, but, like, I actually had to explain to Phil who Gary was. Gary's the prick kid who dimes you out a bunch. Like, first he's your boy, and then he's, like, just constantly trying to get you into shit with the greasers and the preppy kids. Also, there's a faction system in this game. I'm like, where were faction systems in Rockstar games anymore?
They died with that one part of San Andreas because they all of a sudden stopped. Like, they had this awesome system where you could go take territory, and then if you would advance the story, they got rid of it all.
Yeah,
and, like,
imagine if they made Mean Girls the video game, and there were factions.
Is that your new prediction for 2016?
Listen, I'm not big on fucking sequels being made, because I'm all, let's make new things. Some games are perfectly fine if we never got sequels to them, because it'd be like, no, wouldn't it be cool if it was just a one-off? Bully, I want a sequel for now. I don't know, whatever.
Sequel
Rockstar
with modern Rockstar mechanics.
Rockstar's getting better in that area, though.
Oh, no, absolutely. Like, Grand Theft Auto 5 is a well-playing game all around. Like,
I think Grand Theft Auto 5 is their best game. Personally.
Oh, it is. Anyone who says Red Dead Redemption's a better game, that's simply from a story setting perspective, not a gameplay perspective.
True. I thought you were going to badmouth those people. I'm like, yeah, Wazzy, way to badmouth yourself, asshole.
No, I think it's a masterpiece, but it, again, suffers from a little...
Would you buy Red Dead Day 1 if it came to PC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But part of it is also because the shooting mechanics would be better with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Because the biggest problem with Rockstar console games with shooters is they still rely on so much of that auto aim.
It's not auto aim. It's literally lock on. It's lock
on. Well,
on.
it's both. You can switch it to be a full on GTA 4 system.
It's janky without the lock on.
Yeah, I use the lock on pretty much. No, I think I use the very generous snap to aiming, but you get kind of the middle ground.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Bully's cool for me. Other than that, I only played the intro of XCOM 2 with Brian and Matthew while I was streaming it on Twitch. So I started that game on Iron Man mode and the highest difficulty. Well,
what the
not
fuck
necessarily.
is wrong with you, man?
I started the game on the highest difficulty, but I didn't know how to do Iron Man because apparently the game doesn't tell you if you don't turn off tutorials, you won't get the option to play it on Iron Man, which I think is a little dumb. So I did have to restart it. Things did not go well for me already on that play. So currently we're only an hour into that playthrough, but I've already lost Stone Cold Steve Austin, Chun-Li. I want to say Usain Bolt, and I want to say I either lost Sean Connery or Colin Powell.
Jesus, man.
Brutal.
Yo, it was bad. I failed my first mission. Like, first proper mission, not the tutorial. The tutorial
right.
I did fine. But, they added an ambush mechanic, which is what I can tell you about. It's really cool. No. So what you do is, there's a certain sightline point where the enemies don't, quote-unquote, see you. Right? Once you cross that line, they see you, they're gonna start moving around. So what you do is, you set everyone up in Overwatch, right?
Yeah.
So effectively, then you move your guy into position that he's gonna break that line of sight and get into a position where they see him. And so that way, before their turn even starts, when they're doing their thing where they get into cover, right?
Yep.
Your Overwatch crew just starts wrecking people in advance. So, like, it's a cool, like, sequence type deal. It's a really cool addition. There's probably other cool additions to the game, but I didn't get there yet.
Because you died, yeah.
It was a pretty rough start for me. But I think XCOM 2 will not be a game I beat within a month or anything. I'm going to commit to either trying to beat it during the course of this year in Iron Man. Because I like playing that game that way. So, yeah.
Where you want to pull your hair out after
that's not how I'm going to play it.
No. Someone should beat it for us to tell me all the things that are good about the game, because it might take me a few playthroughs. Like, I was already telling Matt, I was like, we might have to start second Iron Man playthrough tonight, because first one is starting really bad right now. I played a little bit of Serious Sam 3 with Ben, but I'd rather have him on so we could talk about it. Other than that, Wazdi.
Okay. Let's see here.
You played The Division.
I did play The Division.
You played Ubisoft Massive's Division. Did you know that you're in a podcast with two other people who really like World in Conflict?
That's awesome to hear because that game is phenomenal.
Love it.
And The Division is nothing like it.
Yeah.
That was random.
Then again, it's still it's a great PC port. Don't listen to the whole hype and buzz people have been saying because that one dude said, "Oh yeah, we kept it in check with the consoles." Fuck them. It's a great PC port. Ran well. My GTX 780 can't really run it at max settings at 1440. In fact, it could barely run it at max settings at 1080 because it is a phenomenally good looking game.
Right.
So production quality is through the roof. I expect performance to slightly increase as they tweak drivers and stuff. Mechanically, the game is Destiny New York.
Yeah,
with one huge difference.
Okay.
There is a PvP zone. And basically how it works is, and it's seamless too. You don't have the loading screen to go back to your ship, then places you can go anywhere in the world without a loading screen. You can
Someone down the wrong pipe. Oh god.
You just keep dogging. You
He's
just
gonna
blew his
die.
mind. Yeah.
No,
Wait a sec. No loading screens.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I was just drinking.
I mean, once you load into the game, you know you're entering a different zone because you have to go through a door into the PvP zone, that is. But when you're going in between like PvE zones, like the open world, it actually just instances to you, and you don't have any of that Destiny thing going on where other people are running around and shit.
Right.
It's just you, and if you join your buddy's party, you just instance into their world with a quick loading screen, and the loading screen isn't like loading the world; it's just putting you into their game. And it worked. It worked. Like, we got into parties, no problem, and all that was great. There was only one mission to do. You would go, so the story bait, the structure was fire up the game, go to the first kind of base thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then how it's going to be split up is all the different wings of this base. There's 3 wings, or 4 wings, and that's how they're upgraded is how you get your skill points, essentially. There's no leveling of the skill points. Well, there is through modifiers, but you have to do that through the base. But there's no classes or anything. So you could change up your loadout however you want. Not on the fly, not like in combat, but, before we leave, let's get your skills in order. So if you need a healer, and unlike Destiny, there is actual support roles. So I can be a healer instead of just, let's all shoot at the same guy until he's dead. Oh, you're down. I can come hold X and pick you up.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's much more team-oriented. 4-player squads at the most.
Are you buying it on PC day one?
Yes.
All right, I'll ride with you, Wazdi.
Absolutely buying it on. I've got people in my PlanetSide group are going to do it as well. I've got people to play with. But, okay, so the basic setup, once you get past the slight presentation differences and the instancy differences, it becomes kind of Destiny, where, yeah, you walk around the open world, random shit happens, you can join it, you get missions to do, and you find loot on bad guys, because it is at its core an RPG, not a shooter, and Massive has flat out will admit that too. Like, yeah, it's a shooter, but...
So here's where I have a question, right? Just because, like, this is the way certain people... I've read reactions to this game. How do you feel about the shooting mechanics in that game right now?
I think they're fine. The thing is that, again, as I said, it's an RPG first, so the TTK is higher.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time, they say bullet sponge enemies, but the setup of the game, when you're in the game world, you're not linearly going through checkpoint to checkpoint clearing shit out. You have this kind of open, sort of boring, nothing going on world, because the idea is to sell you this, kind of shithole New York scenario. And then you get ambushed by like 10 guys. And that 10 guys, or the even 5 guys, it's not supposed to be over in a flash. You're supposed to be jumping back from cover and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think
thought
that style of complaint has always had this weird issue where, like, oh, it takes a lot of bullets to take them. Like, Halo's enemies take a while to take.
People
but
say,
it feels good.
Yeah, but it's real life. That's what they say. It shouldn't take that thing. It's like, well,
I think the larger issue is like when Uncharted can feel spongy, right?
Mhm.
I think the thing with Uncharted is the enemies just don't sell the hits, is what the larger issue is.
Yeah, the Division has some of that going on. They're a little bit better. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and then their AI definitely has different. You have the guy that will bum rush you with melee.
Yeah.
That's his character.
Yeah.
So no, he doesn't just go down when you shoot him once. It's very much RPG like enemies. You have the guy, he throws AoE grenades. This guy shoots you. This guy's a sniper. It's pretty well defined what that guy's going to be at a quick glance.
Right.
And it's how they craft the spawning. And they every area, kind of firefight area, you can tell they've built it in such a way where it's kind of more of an arena, not necessarily a linear level, more like I would say a Halo approach, where in the campaigns, every time you kind of get to the next section, it's its own little contained arena. Think of that in the open world, something that Bungie kind of did with Destiny, kind of not, where because Bungie kind of
the better scenarios, it does feel that way. Like there's there's that crater area in the moon. It's like the way I describe it reminds me of the fucking Helm's Deep shit, because it's got like this weird towering thing just sticking out, and like you're trying to funnel into this door. But, like, you're working your way down that canyon, right?
Yeah. But there's definitely that kind of level design going on in the Division, where you have kind of more enclosed areas. There's some more linear areas, but I didn't really see much of that. The beta area was very small. And that's all great and stuff. The loot mechanic, you kill guys, you pick up loot. And in the normal, non-dark zone area, the normal area, you just can equip it right away. Most of it's junk. The loot values are... I can't comment on loot values because they change, and they already have another beta coming out next weekend, open beta, and with a huge list of changes that people basically want. So I'm not going to comment on balance until the game comes out, because that's not fair.
I mean, does it feel like you're getting a lot of loot?
Yes, well, certainly.
Right.
Okay, you don't get tons of loot, but I found out that I was getting good loot when I got it. Like, I felt... To
be fair, that's how Destiny's beta felt. Like, it wasn't that you were getting a lot of loot, but it felt like you were getting good loot. And then what ended up happening with the game was that good loot ends, and then it's like you just don't
and
get
that's
enough.
and that's why I don't want to comment on because I don't know. Like, until we get the actual game, I can't tell you.
The problem with this beta is, and the people are responding to this, is like, it's very similar to how they were feeling about the Destiny beta, where they were going, like, there's going to be more to the game than this. And what ended up happening was that there wasn't more. Because that was my whole thing when William and Phil were giving me so much shit that I was like, you can't just assume that the game's going to be just this. I'm like, well, okay, fine.
But here's the thing is that...
And then it ended up being that.
Unlike Destiny,
right?
They have the Dark Zone, which changes everything.
Okay.
And is where the content is. The Dark Zone is basically it's more of the same. Only in the Dark Zone, now other players are running around.
Yeah, but, like, do you think everyone will respond to that?
So,
like, what happens if people feel like that's a little cheap, or it's easy to get just dogged down?
Well, that's the thing, is it's a balance, but what happened from my play sessions is, for the most part, in the earlier sessions, while people were out actually trying to get loot, trying to play the game, before they hit the absolute end where you couldn't go any further and there was nothing else to do because there was only about 3 to 4 hours of content in this entire game. So again, that's also not a very good indication of what's going to go down. But when you were there, you had these landmarks where the enemies would spawn, and you would clear them out, and there might be other players that joined you or not, and then you would get your loot, and you would have to get it to an extraction site. Once you filled up your little loot, your inventory, it's a separate part of your inventory, call in an extraction. Everyone in the current instance that you're in, and I think that's like 16 players or something, they run dedicated servers. It's not like Destiny's peer-to-peer stuff. It's a dedicated server system, but the game's not built for like thousands of players. It's like just a dozen or so. So you're there, call in the extraction, up to 4 people could put their bag on, and then when the bag gets out, when you put it on the thing, boom, you get that loot when you get back to your main base out of the Dark Zone. But while you're waiting there, anyone could basically attack you and take your shit. So there's this real kind of amazing tenseness that happens when you call in one, and it's still like you and a buddy, and then like 4 dudes run up, but they don't start shooting either. Because, well, why should we kill? Could we work together? And a lot of people were talking on the open world comms saying, like, it's a proximity audio, so I couldn't hear what's going on the other side of the map.
Oh my god, it has proximity chat?
Yeah, it has so I would just hit C and be like, what's up, guys? And they'd be like, yo, and be like, so we're just calling an extraction. Want to join? Sure. Then
Did I remind you that your boys at Bungie didn't feel that Destiny was a proximity chat?
considering that, that was a dumb decision. And the Division, basically the idea of the Dark Zone is take everything that could have been great about Destiny and actually do it when it comes to player interaction.
They benefited from the fact that, like, let's just watch this unfold.
They totally did, because the setup is, I say it's Destiny-like because it is, absolutely is, but they've separated. They're like, if you're going to have players in your world, instead of them just running around and stealing your kills, let's put them in the PvP area where you now actually, they're a threat or a friend. And it was very intense. And then toward the end of the game, once I got all my loot up all the way, then I started griefing people just for the hell of it with my buddies.
You're a dick.
Sick fuck.
Oh, I totally was a dick too. And it didn't work out for us when like 2 squads decided to turn on us 3 and we just got our shit kicked in. Now the betas, the new ones coming out, they're actually greatly increasing the amount of NPCs in the Dark Zone to kind of give you more challenges there. And they're changing how the rogue system works. So if I shoot you and do enough damage, I become rogue for a certain amount of time. And every time I shoot you or shoot at other people, my rogue timer essentially restarts up to 5 minutes.
I'm going to aim to be just a good teammate because I'm a good person.
And that's what a lot of people were doing until they ran out of stuff to do, essentially. But then they're changing it now where your rogue timer doesn't restart, so you can actually fight your way out of a situation instead of be damned to be a rogue agent.
So
they have a lot of great changes coming to the next the next beta, and that's also bodes very well for Ubisoft. Like, they listened. Mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff that people were saying, hey, it would be nice if there was more shit to do in the Dark Zone. I don't like just running around and maybe killing an NPC from time to time and then running from players. Can I have more incentive? And they're really taking that to heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's shown in Rainbow Six as well. Like, they've been really, they haven't been the quickest to fix the netcode, but they've been really quick to respond to, hey, we really need the next defender to be a bit of an ass kicker because we've got plenty of offensive guys, but some of these defensive guys are limited. And what's happened is the last major defender was actually a fucking beast. Like, he's really good. So I guess Ubisoft has shown like some.
Yep. And then they're not doing Assassin's Creed this year and saying, hey, we're going to actually reevaluate this. Like,
good for them.
This isn't the Ubisoft I'm used to. I'm used to, here's more games, you'll like it.
So here's the thing, I think of Ubisoft, I feel like recently I want to think they're this awful company, but I'm like, they still make Rayman, Valiant Hearts was cool, Child of Light was at least interesting, Grow Home is kind of neato, if a little half-baked, Far Cry people really like, Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon's kind of badass, and it wasn't that long ago when we thought Assassin's Creed 2 was a fun game. It wasn't that long ago Brotherhood was a fun game.
Black Flag was a freaking awesome game.
People like Black Flag. I don't know why. Whatever. Rainbow Six Vegas, I actually really like those games. Like, in fact, I can't think of a Rainbow Six game I don't like right now. Actually. Like, Ghost Recon, I wasn't the biggest guy. But people liked those GRAW games. People don't hate on GRAW the way,
Except for the Future Soldier.
Well, that one's not GRAW. That's Future Soldier.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Division.
Splinter Cell is the only thing they ruined.
Yeah. I think the fact that they just milked Assassin's Creed so freaking hard.
Yeah, that they, and it became the formula.
Then they did stuff like, then the formula, and then they did stuff like Watch Dogs, which, huge step back on all the
Ubisoft
platforms.
Game. Like, it was the joke was that it was the Ubisoft game. Here's the
and it was just...
Dude.
Yeah,
who climbs towers.
But with the Division, they got something good there. A lot of it's good.
No, time out. Do you climb towers?
No,
the Division?
Not at all.
Innovation, right there.
What's gonna make it or break it for the Division is how much PvE content they do. Because they got PvP and it is tense. And
so unless they really put Manhattan, actual honest to God Manhattan, in their game, and that includes going inside really elaborate buildings.
No.
There is that.
I'm just saying, that's your only area, Manhattan, because we've played enough GTA 4.
It's a near 1-to-1. It's a near 1-to-1 scale of Manhattan.
It's a near 1-to-1 scale to Manhattan. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Full on Manhattan.
35 square kilometers. You see the map. It's not all of Manhattan. It's only a section of it. They actually scrapped huge amounts of what was originally planned just to focus on this one area. It's not a 1-to-1 scale, but it's 1 to, I don't know, it's 80%.
You gotta do all of Manhattan. You finally have a chance to make
people who are playing it who lived in New York and live in the city say they recognize everything. Like, it's very, very true. And yes, it does. It feels like, it's not a big area, but it really is.
Down at Penn Station.
There's no cars or anything to drive really quick. You got to run everywhere. There's a fast travel system. You can go between safe areas without having to walk, because if you walked it, that would just get really annoying really fast.
Yeah.
But it's not like I could just fast travel. It's kind of like the Witcher 3 system where you have to go to the fast travel point to be able to travel to another one.
You're saying it's like every video game ever now?
Except for Bethesda games.
Bethesda automatically gives you the fast travel without having you get there?
No. I mean, where you can't enact fast travel, like, from a map. You actually have to go to a post.
Oh, yeah.
Say, I can't fast travel until I get to the fast travel point. But I first have to explore it. And there's a nice road bus. They have definitely part of the metro system was built in. Many of the buildings are enterable and are, like, Madison Square Garden's modeled in.
Ooh, that's awesome.
And it's pretty cool. Like, you fight through the stadium, then you go on the rafters.
I need to play the video game version of a place I've been to in real life.
It's pretty cool. Like, and the scale feels. I've never been to New York, but the scale feels like it's a big city. It's got great atmosphere, amazing production values, good sound.
I'm looking forward. I'm
excited.
But here's the thing: it is not a shooter. That's what people need to realize. It's not Call of Duty. It's not Battlefield. It's not a game where you down 50 enemies every second. At its very core, it is a game you're still bowing to RNGs.
Well, let's not get too carried away. It is a shooter. It's just not vanilla shooter.
Yeah, it's like it's closer to Borderlands.
It's an RPG shooter. Like, at the end of the day, as long as the shooting feels right the way it's supposed. Like, Destiny's an RPG shooter. It feels good to shoot things in that game.
And
it's
it
the only thing
definitely felt.
But that's not the point.
And it definitely the shooting isn't as good as Destiny, but Destiny also might have some of the best shooting on a console I've ever seen. Yeah. But it's not bad. It was definitely fun. Pimping your weapons with attachments and stuff was great. I look forward to it. I'll try the beta again next week, see what kind of changes they made, and buy it when it comes out, and probably we'll talk about it then.
Yeah. When does that game come out again? Like, what's
March
the release date?
March 8th.
I might get it.
I'm thinking of actually just going all in and getting the gold package with the season pass right away, because
fucking God, Woz,
I know I'm terrible.
Wait till the review. You will wait till the reviews come out for that game.
But here's the thing: is that I mean, if I get the game, I'll get the season pass, because they've already talked about, unlike maybe Bungie, they've actually outlined a very specific way they're going to release their content. They have 3 things.
That's now actually probably the better way to do it. But everyone will badmouth the studio if they tell you in advance that they're doing DLC.
So the thing is that, everyone badmouths DICE for their DLC, but it's great because in 3 months you're getting this, and then you're going to get this. And you can say, hey, you know what? That doesn't sound interesting to me. I'm not going to buy their season pass.
The alternative to that was Burial at Sea. It took forever for that to actually come out, and I never ended up playing Burial at Sea. But it made you feel like, what the fuck did I pay? And then they added a stupid horde mode, which is like, that's the last thing I want from BioShock Infinite. I want to play another piece of story content. I'm honestly annoyed that BioShock Infinite doesn't have more content for Columbia.
I agree.
Its lone DLC was in Rapture. It's from my understanding, it's a very good DLC.
It was.
But come on, Chris, you wanted to play a little bit more in Columbia.
I do love me some Columbia.
Yeah. Columbia was fucking awesome, and the fact they didn't continue to use it is a shame. Like, even them going back to Rapture, I'm like, that's dumb. Stay in Columbia.
We had 2 games.
Yeah, 2 full games and DLC there. I don't need to go back. So anyway, Division was good. I've also
what else did you play? You played Elite?
Still been playing Witcher 3. Just slogging through that.
Witcher 3 are you up to? I think you're up to Novigrad?
Yeah, I'm level 19. I'm done with half of Series Quest in Novigrad, and I have to go to the Skellige Islands.
Skellige.
I hear that's kind of the low point of the game.
What?
People told me that. I just saying what I heard.
People swear. Okay, so I guess the low point of The Witcher 3 is actually like
so weird. Amazing.
But people actually complain more about Novigrad because they don't like the back and forth you do in the city. But me and Charlie feel like we like the big city atmosphere of Novigrad.
I think the game is very diverse. Like, when you're in Velen, I really feel like you're in a fucking wasteland. It's great. And then when you're in Novigrad, you're in this nice posh city.
Wasteland.
It can get kind of wastelandy. You get to the south part of Velen.
It's definitely a land torn by civil war.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, and so I'm playing that.
World is so good. The Skellig is awesome. No
okay,
way
I'm sure I'll enjoy it then. I'll
dude,
just
it's
have to go.
snowy mountain. There's a point when you climb one of the mountains and the fucking horns kick in.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
like, yeah, that's up there with Red Dead Redemption when the sun goes up.
I'm excited. Okay, so I'll be doing that eventually, probably this weekend, and then I've been playing Elite Dangerous Horizons. Bought that. That's cool. I guess it makes, if you want to talk about land, playable area in games, now you can land on small rocky moons.
So it's no longer just space flight action?
Yeah, there is now something called an SRV, which is essentially a buggy, and you can land on certain kinds of planets. Not all of them.
It's still vehicle combat?
There is some vehicle combat, but it's mostly just exploration and mining. And basically how it works is you fly.
You know who has a lot of hours in Elite Dangerous? Moogle.
Yeah, and I've been talking to him about it a lot. Anyway, I've been playing that. That's fun. It's more elite. I don't know if it was worth the $45 I paid for it. The monetization.
Wow,
Yeah, their monetization scheme has been kind of shit. But the thing is, when I went back to start playing it, and I was flying around and seeing all these moons with the blue glow around it saying, hey, you could land on this, it was kind of like calling to me, like, buy me, fucking play me. And then they dropped the price 2 days later. So yeah, now it's only $35, and they repackaged the game as Horizons as a proper DLC instead of this weird thing they had going on before. Yeah, they had it where, okay, so Elite Dangerous, when you bought Horizons, you got Elite Dangerous with it. And that's why they tried to justify the price being so high. They rebranded it. Okay, you buy Elite Dangerous for I think $20 now or $30, and then you can buy Horizons for like $35 or buy the package deal for a bit cheaper. More sensible. So I've been playing that, and then PlanetSide. But that's about it. Nothing new, because until I beat Witcher 3, the next game I will play is Homeworld Deserts of Karak, which I am.
Reviews.
Yeah, and I'm unbelievably excited for it. But I cannot stop Witcher 3 because it's one of those things like with Metal Gear Solid 5. Once I got myself into it and I took a break, I just never came back. I have a funny feeling I'd do the same with Witcher.
People do that with The Witcher 3, is that once you stop yourself... It has sort of happened to me, but I tell myself it's intentional that I did it to myself because I want to do it all. But it has been a time where I'll step back and realize, man, I play... You know how when you have all your games installed and then you're just like, I don't want to play anything because I got too many things to pick from, right? Like you gave yourself too many choices, and then half the time I go, man, this whole time I could have just played some Witcher 3 and gotten some of the questing in that game done.
And that's the thing. Witcher 3 it's such a big engrossing game. If you step away from it and try to get yourself back into it, it's going to be too jarring. I've already sunk about 40 hours into it, so if I would stop, I wouldn't be disappointed. But since I did chill out for Game of the Year of 2015, I owe it to my own opinion to actually beat the game.
Yeah, you did. You did.
120 hours, boys. That's how much I spent in it. I
can see myself, because I'm doing all the points of interest. I'm getting armor. Oh, God.
Oh, 135 hours. Sorry, but that's with the DLC.
Yeah, so Chris, after bad-mouthing me for years about how I did Arkham City, is like, you're going way too hard on Witcher 3.
Well, yeah, you fuck all of the entrance points. That's crazy talk. It's too much.
So that's what I've been playing.
Have you had a treasure chest glitch on you yet?
I have not had any.
Fucking
the only glitch...
There's one in Velen that refuses to open for me.
The only glitch I've had so far was during one of series flashbacks. Everyone's animation for their legs broke, and it looked like they were riding an oversized bicycle as they ran and floated over the ground. I should have recorded some of it because it was freaking hilarious. But yeah, because all the bodies, like the ragdoll had stopped, so all the bodies were kind of like hovering over the ground at angles with their feet in it. It was funny, but that was been the only major bug I've had.
Siri's got a cool dodge move. It reminds me of Devil May Cry.
It's not just that. I love her attack, the blink, where you just,
Yeah.
She's also overpowered.
She's overpowered as hell, but I like her.
I love it.
For the most part.
I absolutely love Witcher 3. I think what I really like about it is the fact that it doesn't matter what content you're doing. There is no B grade content in that game.
Yep.
No fluff shit.
Time out. Because fucking Towers of GameUnder.net, who you should check out, is probably going to be the asshole stickler. Well, there is B grade content. What Wazzy's trying to say is the B grade content makes sense in the context of the grander scheme of the game, which is as like I remember having this conversation. I think I told this anecdote now like 5 times on a podcast. But when you go on a string of just doing the points of interest, that is the most boring game on the planet because all you're doing is monster nests. But if you're doing it on the way to a quest,
it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. It's
or
like
do how I did it. I put it off when I'm not questing, but when I went and started crafting shit, I'm like, okay, now go hit up the points of interest because that's where the monsters and loot's going to be for you to be able to craft it. If you work the points of interest into your playthrough, they're perfect. If you try to do them...
The points of interest are great when you want to listen to a podcast while still playing more Witcher 3.
Yeah, that's what I was doing last night while I was talking to you guys. But yeah, love it.
Chris, he has finished Her Story today.
I finished Life is Strange and Her Story.
Today?
No, Her Story was... Life is Strange was 2 days ago, Her Story was yesterday, and today I started Undertale.
So, full disclosure, we will do a Life is Strange podcast next week. I gotta figure out a good day for Phil. Once we've got that day, I'm just gonna tell you what day it is, and we're gonna do a Life is Strange spoiler cast, because I want to talk about that game freely.
Yes.
Her Story. I like that game.
I liked Her Story, too. I beat it all in one sitting, of course.
I feel like that's the only way to do it.
That's not a game you walk away from. There's no point. Did you take notes? I took notes.
I took notes.
I
took one-wordy notes for a little while.
I took one-wordy notes.
God, really?
Yeah.
I'm never going to play that game. If I have to do homework while I play a game, fuck that.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. If you have a decent memory, you can pull it off.
Well, so
I play a lot of games while drinking, so...
The idea behind that game is she says a sentence, and you pick apart, like, keywords that you're like, alright, what if I put this in the search engine? Like, you know, what the hell happened in Glassglow? And who the hell is
Exactly.
Simon?
Exactly.
Like, because the first video you watch, you go, I don't know who Simon is. Because you have no context for who Simon is at the moment.
Because, the first word is already written into the search box for you is murder. You just hit enter, and then 4 videos show up. And they're not in order, there's no context, you don't know what the fuck is going on, who these people are, any of their names. And so you just click on the first video, it's like 35 seconds long. And in that first 35-second video, she'll say a bunch of names, maybe a date or two, and then it's up to you to, like, watch the rest of the videos, and then just think of those words that keep coming back to you, and just put one of those words into the next search bar. And only 5 return videos come at a time.
So we're gonna say spoilers right now, because I don't like talking about Her Story without being able to talk about certain specifics. We won't give away the ending, but
I'll try not to.
Yeah, but
is there an ending?
Sort
It's not really an ending.
Well, people will swear the interpretation is part of the ending. So if you don't want to hear about Her Story, skip to, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes from now.
Yeah.
Which is probably the end of the podcast.
Yeah, probably. This is the last thing we'll talk about.
So, in my situation, because that game's very non-Euclidean storytelling, when you think about it, like, cause the rabbit hole that you end up at is entirely based on which order of words you went with, or like, what was, like, the key things for you. Like, one of the first words I went with was Simon, and then blue, for instance. Like, I don't know if you want.
Oh, really? No, I didn't go.
But, like, for the longest time, I wasn't thinking of another girl until I started thinking, I was like, who the fuck? And then I was like, wait, what if I throw in twin? Then that's when the game started getting even crazier for me.
No, the moment it got crazy for me is, she kept talking about fairy tales in the videos that I was going to, so I typed in fairy tale.
Uh-huh.
And then one of the videos she's talking about how she saw a girl across the street who looked like her and waved like her. I was like, what the fuck? And then, like, she said something about Eve, and I was like, who the hell's Eve? So I typed in Eve, and then it said, Hannah and me, and I was like, wait, I thought you were Hannah. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, then it gets really awesome. The fairy tale stuff took me to the mirror, right?
Yeah, the mirror.
And
that's how,
that song is really creepy.
That song is creepy, yeah. I got that one.
Towers doesn't like that song because he thinks it's way too on the nose.
I got the song actually early on, like in the first probably 35 minutes of my investigation. Nice. I got the song. And then that's... See, it's funny because, like you said, there's no linearity to it, possibly. So you can potentially get huge clues early on.
Yeah. Just
through luck or through really acute observation. Because one of the other things that snapped me really early on is her tattoo. And I was like,
yeah.
When she get a tattoo?
Yeah. And so I put tattoo in. Yeah, that was
I did
one.
too. Yeah, I put tattoo.
Put the guitar in and stuff like that.
But yeah, I think I got to the quote unquote end too early, personally. I don't even think I had the Steam achievement for listen to 50% of the videos before I got, because remember you said that, I said, is there like an end? And you're like, well, a prompt will come up when you kind of like.
Yeah, it's like, I hope I worded it right for you, but I meant like when you yourself feel content walking away.
Yeah, no, I think the prompt comes up when the game kind of like has given you what happened to Simon. So I got
what happened when, I bet it's like a certain amount of videos.
Well, what happened for me, the video I got it in was when she's talking about the mirror and how it slit his throat. Yeah. And then the chat came up and I was like, oh, I guess that's the end. But then I kept searching. And if you stop right there, like if you're like me and you got that in the first 50% of the videos, there's still a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot of details you miss out on. Because there's a crazier rabbit hole that goes. I feel like at the time I got it, I wasn't even at the point where I had an idea of what was going on with the two girls.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Because
I established that Simon died. And
I think there's two mysteries. What happened to Simon and who are these two girls?
Yeah.
And you can get the Simon answer a lot quicker than the other one. And it's the other one that's the more interesting of the two.
The other one is the one everyone argues over. It's like whether or not she's X or Y.
Yeah, because there's no doubt what happened to... Well, I guess there is kind of doubt what happened to Simon if you believe that was one person or two people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love how the music cues subtly come in at key moments.
Once you got your ending, did you bother to go back to see all the videos?
I didn't see all the videos. I got the achievement for step.
Do you want to know the easiest way to do it?
Okay.
Since everything in that game has to be tagged, you just type blank as your word.
Blank?
Because everything's tagged. You notice how everything's tagged as blank? Every video.
Oh.
So you just go through all the videos you haven't seen.
Okay.
Blank. Yeah, exactly.
No, I've probably seen like 80 to 85%.
So what you do is you type in blank, and once you're done with the video, you backspace the tag so that video won't show up again for you.
Okay.
So that way you can just keep going until you've seen all the videos. I ended up seeing all the like first I got my ending, right? When I was content and I said, all right, I think I'm ready to go. See, I think I have an idea. And then I was like, let me watch all the videos now that I know I could see all the videos, right? And then that changed my answer, I guess. But Ben still disagrees with me on it. And we didn't really talk about it on the forums where you landed, but I really like that game. It's neat.
It is neat. Again, it's not something I don't think it'll be the next big thing.
Yeah, I don't want a sequel on it. I don't want another game like it.
Right. I don't want to think of like a Life is Strange or a Telltale Games with the choices. I think there's a lot to do there. Yeah. A Life is Strange, a Walking Dead type scenario. Her story is a one and done for me.
Yeah, but such a cool one.
Such a good one and done. Oh, absolutely. Had a lot of fun.
What a performance.
That whole 3 hours, I was very intrigued.
Like, when Ben told me he played that game with a friend, I was like, that would be a cool game to play with a person.
Oh, absolutely. I plan to play it with somebody just to have that. I will give them no hints or anything. I just want to see.
You want to watch their reaction?
I just want to watch them slowly unravel.
I was thinking about the longest time of buying you this game because I'm like, I need to know how Chris was going to react to this shit.
Yeah, I got it for like $1. I think someone gifted it to me when it was like $1.50. But
that's a cool after everyone's played it, water cooler game. Like you just go talk about it. Just as fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the... Yeah, as soon as I beat it, I went on with Xbox Live. We were playing Halo 5, me and my friends. I was like, you guys, it's a cheap game. It's one sitting. It's something you remember. It's more interactive than a movie, but it feels like one of those thriller movies you walk out of and it just doesn't get out of your head and you need to talk.
I really like her performance, to be quite honest. I don't think it's always consistently good. Like, there's a few times where she's a bit robotic. It's the script is a little too overkill.
Yeah, I don't blame her always. Sometimes the script does make her kind of, because she's trying to give out a clue or something. Yeah. That feels a little unnatural that someone wouldn't say in that situation. But I think she does, when she's being playful or when she's just kind of being a little wounded, she's really good. I felt when she was trying to be, I don't know, there was one specific emotion that she went for a few times I don't think she nailed perfectly, but for the most part,
oh, she does flirty really well.
Yeah, she does. Yes, playful, flirty. She does very, very well.
Towers doesn't agree. He blames it on the fact that I think she's attractive. I'm like, I don't understand what that has to do with anything.
No, I think she does flirty well. I forget. I guess it was when she was kind of being defensive. I didn't always believe her defensive.
Yeah, her defensive was a little too. It made her guilty to me.
It seemed, yeah, it crossed that line of someone's blaming you for something that you didn't do and you're being defensive to I did this and you caught me.
Yeah. Her being confused, I also didn't think worked.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes her being confused was like, it doesn't really fit. Yeah, that's a cool game.
But I do like, again, I think there's enough evidence to support multiple theories, and that is what I give her props for in the performance of there is enough subtlety in Eve and Hannah that it could be one person or two. So that I like.
Way to give that one away. I was gonna say that game is like everything about that game. It has to be an FMV. Like, you cannot design. I don't think Rockstar can make a bunch of polygons that would be as expressive as that lady was.
No, that's
because you need an actual person performing to give you.
Absolutely. Even with the LA Noire tech, it wouldn't be enough.
That game suffers from Uncanny Valley for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
It just jars them.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because you need the person's, like, body to animate right along with it. There's a lot of, like, body language she gets across. It's very, By the way, I got shit from them for not thinking Leo's performance in The Revenant is all that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm like, he's had so many better performances as an actor. Now we're all gassing up The Revenant. Like, come on.
It's because, I don't know why everyone thinks this is his year. The other people in the category are good, but it's a very physical performance, but he doesn't do a whole lot of acting.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a physical performance, but I'm like, it's a novelty in a weird way. It's like if a movie came out and it was black and white and like some celebration of the grand history of films, and we just gave it the Oscar for that. Like,
oh, you mean The Artist?
Yes.
All I'm hearing is negativity.
Yeah.
The error you are making is that I somehow hate Leo. I don't. Leo is a phenomenal actor.
I didn't say that you did. I'm just hearing negativity right now. I'm just
saying it's like when people are like, oh, it's absolutely his greatest performance. I'm like, no. I was like, people will not like the fact that Catch Me If You Can is some great movie, because it's not. But I'm like, that performance is amazing in that movie, in my opinion. That character he plays, I love. Django
is his favorite performance for me. Candy, that's my favorite performance.
Yeah, Candy's really good. I thought he would have been a great pick. First of all, Leo's been robbed not robbed, but Leo's had plenty of better roles that I thought were more than deserving. So if he wins one, I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm just saying, like, The Revenant was not the one where I went. I thought the Hanks
Tom Hardy
Bridge of Spies I thought was better.
Tom Hardy should get the Oscar
for Mad Max.
No, for
Room?
Revenant.
Revenant.
I am secretly hoping Mad Max takes the Oscar. It's not going to, but if it does, Hollywood's going to just flip shit.
Either way, Vita, she got the best performance at the Game Awards, and the whole time it was going, I was like, she has to win this.
Yeah.
Because she's the only, actual, she didn't voice act. She had to act. And it's so different. Like,
it is so different.
Troy Baker can't compete with her in this regard. There's no way.
Until there's a Troy Baker FMV game.
Exactly.
His story.
Didn't he do all the mocap and shit for Call of Duty Black Ops?
It's not the same.
Advanced War?
He did, and he's mocap for Joel, but it's not the same. It's you have to play her story specifically to get across what she's doing with her performance. It's really working, right? Because because there's a lot of visual clues as well. The tattoo being a big one, actually, of whether or not it's two people or one person going insane. Because it's like, well, then where's the tattoo going? And my theory is the tattoo's just hidden as like a red herring. Although people are saying there is a Hannah. I think Eve is the one with the tattoo, and Hannah is wearing a short sleeve shirt where she doesn't have the tattoo.
That is the only interview that you actually can see it when she's wearing the blue shirt. Everything else, her shirt's too long, so it's not even.
Oh no! So
really
then, there you go.
Can check.
There you go. Yeah. So it's like, fuck you, Ben. Anyway, her story's cool. We like that game.
I like that game.
I'm not too mad that it got cut because I was like, it's a cool concept, but I'm not gonna press for it.
It's not top 10. I mean, now that I'm going through the endless
it would be in
my
my top 10, but it wouldn't be like I'm not
It would be in my top 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way to be like, all right, I'm not going to get into a fight for it. Life is Strange. I'm glad to know that you think we fucked up.
I fucked up so badly.
Yeah, listen,
I apologize.
dude, I can still go back and edit out.
No, you can't.
We can totally.
No, you can't.
You don't even like Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah, no. You can get rid of that game.
Yeah, we're not getting. I'm not getting rid of Undertale. Like I stand by this that the argument that was being presented against Undertale is so. Dude, Chris, since you played Undertale today, tell me that argument isn't a little stupid.
That is stupid. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What, the argument, how it looks?
Not the looks argument, the way where it's like, oh, it's being intellectually dishonest about the whole no killing thing. I don't think that's a fair argument.
I'm only 2 hours in, I don't know.
Oh, well, whatever.
Your opinion.
I am going for the pacifist ending, but
yeah.
I don't know why.
I
just know that
so
yeah,
Undertale,
no, so far.
So Undertale is definitely a game. We didn't spoil anything for you on Undertale, did we?
I took out my headphones when you guys talked about it.
So yeah, no. This is absolute. Everyone that talks about this game is like, please don't spoil anything about it because it loses something. So Undertale's a game you're gonna have to actually go vanilla. So we're gonna stop on the Undertale.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for everyone we ruined her story for, but we told you to skip ahead. Speaking of which, the last podcast does have a timeline, so this one will have a timeline because I'm going back.
I feel like anytime we spoil something, because we don't usually do it.
Yeah.
We should
Spoilers,
have
I like doing timelines for because I want people to just not be too worried. Like, listen, this is when the spoiler stuff ended. Skip this conversation. Just know we like the game.
Yeah. I mean, the Life is Strange, you don't need to timeline because it's just going to be one big spoiler cast. If you didn't play Life is Strange, don't listen to that podcast.
Life is Strange is really cool.
Let's just say...
Did you like... Okay, so the ending, I agree with you, is really strong. It is strong.
We'll get
but
to...
what gets me there, I'm not the biggest fan.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. I personally like those types of scenarios. I've always liked that in movies, video games, books. Mm-hmm. Just the trippiness of it. I will agree it's a little drawn out, is my problem with it.
Right.
Particularly the walk down memory lane, too long.
Yeah.
Yes. Goes on too long. But the rest of it I have no problem with, especially because, narratively speaking, you can't push forward those characters any further. So that's why it comes across as padding, because it is narrative padding, but at least it's visually interesting narrative padding. Because they've reached the end of that story basically at the start of chapter 5. So you can't do anything new, really. You can just kind of fuck with the mechanics.
Good on Square Enix to pay for this game, though, right?
Oh, man. Thank you, Square Enix. I can't wait for that Life is Strange podcast, because, oh, man.
Yeah.
I had, honestly, after it was done, I had one of those life moments where you just reflect for a while.
It's a good game like that.
I broke hard at the end.
Really? You cried?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It just
and you're still going to play that Dragon Cancer this year, right?
And you're going to play Undertale? Yeah, you're going to cry a lot. And I don't even want to play that Dragon Cancer because
I do not blame anyone that doesn't want to play that game
because I've only heard it just makes you cry and feel terrible.
If you don't cry during that game, I question you as a human being. Just like
the thing with Life is Strange is I can see why people don't cry for that, and then they cry for it.
It's impossible to not. Yeah.
For Life is Strange, the reason for me is just because those topics that they talk about are so, instrumental in my life, such a foundation. Even if you read any of my writing, that's always
her losing her best.
That's brutal. That's the second that choice started coming out, and that's the difference between a Mass Effect choice and a Life is Strange choice, is I know exactly what I'm losing here. Right in front of me. Not it's the entire galaxy. It's like, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I feel like
right in front of you.
To me, I feel like it's not actually a choice. I think that's what makes it sting more, is that you know it's not really a choice. Because it's a choice,
because narrative,
but it's not a choice. It is not a
narratively,
choice.
Logically, rationally, emotionally, it's not a choice. But you do have a choice.
Suck. Yeah, goddamn does it suck.
It sucks so bad.
That game is so good. Tom Towers and his infinite pretension likes that game. Pretty good. I think it's his game of the year.
for all of its wooden acting and tin-eared dialogue, and
oh my
sometimes
god, some of the script is so bad.
It's some of the boring gameplay segments. Holy shit, does it nail it?
The Kate stuff is so good. Kate's one of my favorite characters from that game.
Yeah, I know Kate's amazing.
I actually came out liking her so much more than I thought I would initially.
Yeah, no, for sure. She does seem very cliched at first. Life Strange did that a lot. A lot of cliches, and then
were
it makes
you nice to Victoria, or were you a bitch?
I was nice to Victoria. I was like harsh nice though. We weren't like friends by then, but we had a mutual respect for each other.
We had no mutual respect. I shitted on her.
That's funny.
Victoria was ruining my life, stealing my cookies.
She did steal my cookies, yeah. But no, I'd say, again, we'll get to this later, but the last half of Chapter 2, the ending of Chapter 3, the beginning of Chapter 4, and all of Chapter 5 is just, oh. Woo!
Yeah, man, it's good.
It's a ringer.
I hope more people in our group eventually get around to playing it, because I'll, Life is Strange podcast number 2!
Yeah,
I'll do it. Played it this time. Okay. But yeah, that'll do it for this podcast. We should do a One's Gotta Go. Because we didn't do one last time.
No, well, I don't know. I didn't listen to the last one.
And again, this one went on for 2 fucking hours, too.
Yeah. That happens. It's better than 4, I guess.
I'm going to make it MMO.
Okay.
Warcraft
so that means just
versus EverQuest.
Yeah, buy EverQuest.
What's the MMO like with that? No, I've never played it either, so I want to ask you, what's the MMO like if EverQuest isn't there?
Better.
You can't just say better. EverQuest is an important game, isn't it?
If you like theme park MMOs, yeah. If you're more of
WoW is a theme park MMO.
Yeah, it is. That's why I say if you like it, that's why, if you like WoW, and I do like WoW, but at the same time, the other branch was following stuff like Dark Ages Camelot or Ultima, where it was sandbox. Then again, one can make the argument that back in those days, people weren't dicks like they are today. Yeah. They don't play games just for the sole fact of ruining other people's times. Yeah. Which, yes, there was always an element to that, but I will definitely say that was a big part of...
That's what I'm saying, EverQuest. Come on, you gotta give EverQuest some... Think of how long EverQuest lasted. That's before WoW became the megaton.
Yeah, but I guess I'm just more curious to see what would have happened. We just assume that people are dicks because we give them the tools, but we really haven't had a game that's focused on that aspect of gameplay until basically DayZ came along, and by then everyone was a dick.
EVE Online.
Yeah, and EVE Online actually
it's the ultimate sandbox MMO. It's so awesome.
They've been solving some of their problems, but creating larger other ones while doing it.
Yeah, the unofficial endless backlog game of the forever. The one we'll never play.
Yeah. So I say buy EverQuest because because you say that, then WoW never happens, which is fair. But then we might actually see some really ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, Chris, I'm guessing you're getting rid of EverQuest because you probably invested in WoW. Yeah.
I actually played WoW, yeah.
And I played WoW and I never played EverQuest, so I'm biased.
Same, bro.
I want to be the scumbag who says WoW just because I would like Warcraft 4, but no, I can't hate. WoW is what it is.
So we're going maximum integrity to this. I'm just going to throw out EverQuest and never playing it. I'm going to be that MMO player, that casual ruining all of MMOs, the scum of the earth.
Yeah, there's someone who actually listens to our podcast, loves MMO, and just screaming right now, how can these scumbag? How can Goggin ask this question while knowing nothing about MMOs? Nothing.
Fuck the OG.
What would have been a better one would be more along the lines of, instead of something EverQuest versus, throw one out, it would have been more like EverQuest versus Ultima, not Undertale. Ultima.
Well, yeah. Well, that's where me and Chris would both defer to you. So, which one has to go, Wazzy?
Because I didn't play either and have no knowledge.
I didn't hear about Ultima Online until I became an adult.
I never played it. I'm only going from what I've read over the years and years and years. The thing is that history was written when World of Warcraft basically came out. And
so Victor goes to spoils?
Yeah, like, because there were other sandbox games. The biggest, I think one of the bigger ones, obviously we talked about Eve, but that there were Star Wars Galaxies until they decided everyone should get they decided.
Wait, no, I played an MMO, City of Heroes. I like that game.
That was a theme park.
Doesn't matter, I played that game.
Well, okay. And then
My superhero's name, you ready for it? Night.
What a surprise.
The essence of a sandbox MMO wasn't.
Midnight when I came up with the name and I got myself some cheese. Night cheese.
God damn it.
Best origin story for a superhero.
Oh my god. What are the superpowers?
Whatever.
We had an ice cream thing going on.
What?
Listen.
I'm glad you went for consistency.
You know, at that point, Batman's not really a bat, so whatever.
What? But he looks like a bat. What does ice have to do with night and cheese?
I don't know.
Cheesecake. You freeze it.
Yeah,
Just
there you go.
to keep it long.
See, Adam put more effort into your origin story.
Listen. I didn't say I'd be an author or a comic book artist. I just said I made a superhero named Night Cheese. Whatever. Alright, I guess, whatever. That was a phoned-in one's gotta go, but I don't really have a better one because I didn't really think about it. Next week, I'll have a good one's gotta go. Oh, we're not. We're gonna do a Life is Strange podcast. So next week, if you haven't played Life is Strange, you might as well skip that podcast. Try to spoil the shit out of that game. Or, you should play that game so you can listen to all of our podcasts.
And then disagree with everything Goggin has to say.
Disagree with everything I have to say. I like that game, so the fans of that game won't disagree with me too much.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. All right. Other than that, last podcast said I guaranteed I would have something written for our website, or at least on the back end. I do.
Oh, that wasn't part of the lie? Part of the podcast?
That wasn't part of the lie. It became part of the truth part of the podcast. I played Bully. You finished your indie stuff, Chris. We've held up our end of the bargain. Ben didn't play shit, so fuck Ben.
It was Ben. He was the lie. I knew he had a lie.
Anyway, thank you for listening to episode 78. By the time this is up, there should be another Rise of the Tomb Raider video on our YouTube page. I believe Serious Sam will also be up, and I think, I'm not going to say a Destiny video will be up, but I think we'll probably start Destiny by the time this podcast is up. Because me and Wazzy are going to, because I got a capture card, and we're going to be doing Destiny Taken King stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be that. We are out.
See ya.